Hello, welcome to Her Journey Home. I'm your host, Sophia Noel Graniella. My mission here is simple: to hold space for honest stories and conversations that are usually left unsaid. This podcast is for the women in seasons of becoming, rebuilding their lives, reclaiming their voice, and remembering who they were before the world told them who to be. So come as you are, and let's begin the journey home together. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Her Journey Home. I have another special guest on this week, and I am so excited to dive into this conversation because I've never had a conversation like this before on the podcast. So her name is Ona. She's actually a psychic advisor for entrepreneurs, which is so cool. Welcome, Ona, to Her Journey Home.
Oh, it's so good to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh, me too. This is going to be a new conversation for me, and I'm really excited to dive deeper into your journey and how you even ended up doing this type of work in the world. So if you can just give us a little more insight into that and what led you to becoming a psychic advisor for entrepreneurs. And also, what is a psychic advisor?
That's such a great question. Yes, absolutely. I have a very fun journey to share. So I'll share a few different parts of that story. But first off, a psychic advisor, for me, it's really this ability I have to tune into people. And the way that manifests for me is I can really feel their highest self. I can feel their essence. And from that, I get downloads, I get visions. And so I can see these different possibilities that I guess you could say match really well with that energy of, okay, that's going to really work for this person, both in terms of what your business can look like overall and short-term moves that would have the highest gain for you in the way that you operate, in the way that you work. And sometimes they're a little out of left field, but it's like, ooh, if we make this move, right? And I can also tune into your audience, into people in your energetic field. So not just your followers, but let's call them your energetic followers, people who are right around you and will benefit from the work that you do. I can feel them as well. And so it helps bridge that gap and really communicate with them. So that's what it means for me to be a psychic advisor for entrepreneurs. And how I got into this, gosh, it is a whole story, but, not that long ago, like 9 years ago, I was still drinking alcohol. I was waiting tables. I loved theater, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, though. So I basically got rid of all my belongings and decided I was going to backpack and just be nomadic. And I bought a one-way ticket to Brazil, and I ended up at an ayahuasca retreat center, which changed my life. I mean, I was called there. I had dreams about the place before. This was, I guess, the beginning of my psychic abilities coming online, because I had vivid dreams of this place, and then I found it like a month later. So I had already seen it and known that I was there. And that was what really prompted me to quit drinking for good. That's when I started learning energy healing. That was kind of my gateway into the world was, okay, I want to learn energy healing. And one of my teachers had said, just serve your community. So I started doing these free circles every week. And it was actually in those free healing circles that I started to notice I could pick up on things. I would be giving energy healing to somebody and see croissants and cakes. And I'd mention it. I'm like, I don't know why I'm seeing this. And then she'd say, oh, I'm a baker. That's my passion. And so that's when I started to think, oh, maybe I'm really picking up on stuff, especially the good in people. I'm really good at picking up on your passion. What's your highest expression? So yeah, from there, I ended up going to acupuncture school, learning that, and then starting this business, which has changed a lot in the short time that it's been around. But from there, I really started to develop a passion for working with entrepreneurs and helping them express themselves, helping them be more of who they really are, be more of that essence, and also, of course, serve their people and, build the business of their dreams. So it's been a fun journey.
Oh my goodness. Brazil is one of my favorite places on planet Earth. And it's interesting. I feel like both of our journeys actually started with an ayahuasca ceremony because we were called to it.
Yeah.
And I love that so much that it really connected you to your gifts. And you said something about self expression. So I really want to dive into the conversation of expression because I am a big believer that self expression directly correlates to our results in business, our deeper interpersonal relationships, the relationship we have with ourselves. And you often talk about uncaging your expression, which I love that term so much, as a pathway to actually multiplying your income. So I would love to know in your own words, what does that actually mean to uncage your expression? And why is expression so directly correlated to money and income?
I love this question. So first of all, I guess historically, I've been a theater kid and I've been interested in just like expressing ourselves and being on stage. But I would say that this became a lot more refined when I got into this world. And as I was building my own business, I started getting really down the rabbit hole of like, am I doing this right? Like, is my messaging on point? Am I like saying the things that's going to get someone to want this? Right. And I got really deep into learning all these different strategies and all of these different ways of doing it. I'm glad I did that because now I have all this knowledge that I can pull from. However, at the time, I was disconnected from my own expression, right? And I'm overthinking it and I'm trying to find the correct way to do things. And in that process, people can't feel me. People can't feel my energy. And that's what kind of brought me back to my roots, I would say, like brought me back to who I've always been, which is this little kid, like getting up on the table and wanting everyone to to listen to what she has to say, right? I mean, that's always been me. And I started to notice that a lot of the women who were finding me actually had trouble with their voice, like trouble with really saying what they wanted to say. Like I always say, like, just saying the damn thing. And it became clear to me that, like, sure, you can learn sales tactics, you can learn messaging, you can learn these things fine. But really, the problem for most people is that they don't just want to say the damn thing. And it's not an easy feat because they haven't been doing that elsewhere in their life. And so it doesn't feel natural to just be like, this is what I really think, or this is what I really feel like expressing right now. This is what's on my heart. And when you speak from the heart in Chinese medicine, because I'm also an acupuncturist, the heart is connected to the tongue. And we're so used to speaking from the head. We're so used to trying to like get it right. But when you speak from the heart, especially when you don't do it very often, it's scary. It's really scary. And so for me with my clients, a lot of it is, you know, meeting those different parts within them, right? Those different parts that are scared or don't feel safe or don't feel validated or loved or those things, and really becoming the person who can internally take care of all of those parts, and so that your heart in this present moment can really express and speak what it wants to say. And it actually just makes so much of business 10 times easier. You don't have to overthink it as much. You're like, this is what I do. This is who I help. Like it becomes a lot simpler.
Oh my gosh, that's so powerful. I feel like the way you broke it down was so perfect. And I really am curious too about those ways that we can unconsciously suppress our emotions and our expression. Because I think oftentimes we think we're expressed, but because of deeper wounds, childhood wounds, generational traumas, we're often not fully in our expression. So I'm curious, what are some of the ways that you've seen in your own life or with your clients that they're unconsciously suppressing their expression?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it all the time. Like the first thing that came to mind was one woman. I did a session with her and she's very successful, right? She makes seven figures. She's doing really well, but she was talking to me about how she's interested in virality from a playful place. She's like, I want to expand. I want to go further. And as we were getting into her content and talking about that, I was like, well, this piece of, the way you talk about your great grandfather, she has this really powerful story with her great grandparents surviving war and like all of this stuff. And I was like, there's so much of that connects even more with what you do, that you could just get on there and really tell this story. And it wasn't until I confronted her with that she was like, I'm afraid it's going to paint so and so in a bad light, or, that like we don't really talk about it like that in my family. And right. And so it's her truth, but in her family, they don't really talk about it like that. And I think that we know these things are there where it's so automatic. It's just, that's not what we talk about. That's not how we do this. It's because your family doesn't talk that way. Like there's just so many different things, even the way we went to school, the way, really what it is we have a certain way of seeing reality. It's our filter on reality, and it just becomes automatic. So it's not always this like buried deep dark secret of why you're not expressed, but much more these like mundane things that you've kind of taken for granted and haven't remembered to question, of like, but is that you? It doesn't have to be that way. Is there actually something here that's ready to shift, where maybe you are the first person in your family to speak like this? Maybe British women do claim wealth, or, whatever it is for them, like across so many different cultures and so many different scenarios, you could say the same thing.
I love those examples. And something that came to mind while you were saying that, are there any little signs if a woman's listening right now and she's like, well, I'm building a brand or I'm starting to create content and I feel like I'm not fully in my self-expression. I feel like there's still maybe some parts that I'm holding back. Are there any specific signs that she can start to look for, or maybe questions she can ask herself that would confirm whether or not she's being in her truest, most authentic self-expression, or if there's still parts that she might be holding back?
Yeah, that's a good question. Again, I keep thinking of stories because I'm thinking of this other woman who came to me and she said, "Oh, I want to talk to you because you're psychic, because multiple psychics have told me lately that I'm playing small, that I'm holding back." And when I tuned into her, I was like, "Well, yeah, of course you are." And it was really an expression thing. It's interesting because when I think about her, I'm like, well, what could she have asked herself to really see that it was expression based? And I think what it is it fun? Like, are you having a good time? Are you in it all the way? Or is this, we have this idea of business as being like this thing over here that gets done and it makes money. And that's all well and good, but it's it's actually just not the way I do things or the way my clients do things, because this is our life. Like, it's not that there aren't practical things. And of course, there are aspects of business that you might not enjoy. But when you're in a state of devotion and you're in a state of play, you still end up having this really satisfying relationship to those tasks, rather than it feeling segmented and separate from you, right? I think that, like, at least for me and my clients, it's not going to be satisfying to say, oh, okay, like I built this thing over here and it makes enough money, good. We want it to feel like an extension of what we're here to do. And so it's not over here. And that's really what it was for this woman. It was like, it works. She got the messaging down. It's all good. She's making money. But she has this whole voice that wants to come out and these things she wants to say to the next generation. And I think, yeah, asking yourself, am I having fun? Is it scaring me? Is it pushing me? Is it kind of making me blush? Am I having this relationship to this that makes me feel alive and that I have an intimacy with? Or does it feel like very segmented? And I know that, like, it's not that we never have boundaries and all of that, right? All of these things have nuance, but at the same time, if your business doesn't get to be fun, then you're not going to want to do it all the time.
1,000%. Oh my goodness. I love those questions so much because is it fun is so important to ask yourself. Does it scare me? And if it's not an edge, you probably are still playing small. Because if you genuinely want to break out of your comfort zone and you want to create a business that actually lights your soul on fire, you're going to have to take risks. You're going to have to step into the unknown. You're going to have to get into rooms that are bigger than you. You're going to have to do the shit that scares you. It's just a part of this. But on the other side of the fear is the incredible growth, is that authentic self-expression, is the most liberated version of you. But you can't avoid that. There's literally, I always tell people, there's no way around it. The only way through is through. And the is it fun, I think, is really the foundation, right? Because there's lots of people out there that say, oh, you don't need to follow your passions for business. And I'm actually complete opposite. And not that every passion needs to be monetized. I don't think that at all. But I do think that you need to have some sort of passion within your business. You need to be drawn to it. You need to love what you do, because otherwise motivation is not going to be enough. You're going to need to have that deeper connection to your work, that fun, that joy, that expansive feeling. Otherwise, what is going to get you through on the days that you don't feel like showing up?
That's exactly it, because it really does require devotion. And that's why it's also service-based, because ultimately that's what like in a spiritual sense, that is what lights the soul up, is that like, I solved this problem. Like I did this, I contributed this thing to society. And it's actually in our nature to want to push that and push that and push that. Not from a place of greed. Actually, it's the most satisfying when it's from a place of service, not sacrificing ourselves, but knowing I can actually be so lit up, so nourished and loving this and keep pushing how good I get at this. Like how can I serve them better? And you can always tell when somebody's on fire and lit up like that and they're not just going through the motions. It does serve you more deeply. Like you can feel their level of care, and I feel like it's also important to note that, it's like when we say having fun, it's not chasing comfort. Like, and I think so often we get those things mixed up because of the society we live in. And it's not that we never get to be comfortable and like have gummy bears and watch TV, like all good, right? But it's also not the thing that's going to satisfy you the most. And so when we talk about fun, it's like, well, what really lights you up? And that's where it comes into that bit of like, it's scaring you a little bit, it's challenging you. We're wired actually to want that. We want a little bit of that. But what's challenging for you is going to look really different than what's challenging for somebody else. And only you know the radical honesty of that. Like for one person, it might be like hosting an international retreat in an event and blah, blah, blah. And then for another person, it might be slowing down actually. And that's the super scary thing. And they haven't learned how to do that. And that's what reality and the present moment is calling for.
Absolutely. I'm really glad you touched on that, because I do think that it's very different depending on the human. And I know for me on my own journey, slowing down was actually really tricky for me, because my entire life I was basing my worth on my productivity and trying to prove myself and the hustle and bustle, and never allowing myself to just sit and feel and be with myself. And when I got sober, that was the biggest thing I learned was, oh my gosh, I've been wired for survival my entire life. And for me, slowing down was scary, but also really nourishing. And at the same time, the adventures, the retreats, doing all these other things, and just noticing how it felt in my own body, and not comparing what felt good for me to what felt good to other people. Because again, we live in a society where it's really easy to get into comparison mode, and we're scrolling on social media and we're looking at everyone else's definition of fun and success. And then we're making that our meaning, even though that's actually not what we desire deep down. That's not what feels good for us. But then we get on this entire path of trying to keep up with the Joneses and trying to do the things that are actually not natural for us. So, very important conversation.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't get that nuance, because I didn't for a long time. And I was like you, were slowing down. It's still tricky for me. Like I'm just now going through a bit of a transformation around that, where I'm saying, okay, like I'm going to take my time here. I'm going to take this one step at a time. I'm going to meet myself where I'm at. Like when I was 6, 7 years old, I would pride myself on being the one who could play the piano songs the fastest. And it's just such a good image because it's obviously not the point of playing piano, but I'm like,
Right.
look how good I am at piano. And you forget to play the music and enjoy the music. And that's, for some people, that can be just as challenging as taking action and speeding up. And for a while, I really prided myself on like, well, I'm brave. I'm an action taker. But then if I was being radically honest, I was actually just doing what I was already comfortable with, which was this like underlying chasing of validation or like, let me just get it right. Let me just get it done, as opposed to let me really open my vessel, let this thing download and
Mm.
be present with myself and allow and trust that process. That is just as much fun, just as much of an edge, and just as scary as something a lot more out there.
Oh, totally. I'm so glad we talked about this. And I want to get into more of the actual practical, right? For the women listening, and they're like, okay, well, I'm not in my full self expression. I feel a little bit blocked. I'm not making the money that I want to make. Something's off, but they don't really know the steps or maybe a framework that can help them really tune into their energetic field and their body. So I know that you have something very unique, which is the Body Recode Method. And I want to dive deeper into that because I know that it can help someone shift not just their energy, but their actual reality and their income, which I know so many people are wanting. So, can you take us a little bit deeper into that method? How do you actually walk your clients through this? And how does it help them?
I love this. I love this method. I could talk about this all day. Um, but really, this method, the Body Recode Method, is based on acupressure, movement, and visualization journeys. And it's something that was born for me right after I got divorced. So I was divorced, and, you know, it was my decision ultimately. It's a whole story, of course, but it brought up a lot of shame and a lot of guilt. Not everybody was, obviously not everybody was happy with that decision. And what had happened is it really ignited shame that already existed inside of me. It wasn't just about the divorce. And I started to realize that because of how powerful the feelings were. I was like, oh no, this has just been here in my body my whole life. And it felt like a void. It just felt like, oh my gosh, no, it felt like I don't matter. And, in that really intense state of being, I made a choice. I was like, I am going to get very intimate with this. And I'm going to use some of the methods that I had already been developing at that point when I was just giving energy healing sessions. I would do a lot of similar work. But this is when it really solidified, was when I was in the depths of this shame. And I started meeting deep parts of myself that were crying out for attention and letting them express, letting that contraction express. So basically going fully into the shame, allowing it to be what it is, and then getting intimate, asking it, what do you want? Like on a deep level, what do you want? And for me, at the time, the biggest thing was love, celebration. It was really like attention. And this is when I kind of started to realize too how much I was neglected as a child, not because my parents were bad people, but they just didn't have the emotional capacity. They didn't really play with me, right? And so there was that's really a big part of it. And I also think it was multi-generational, the shame that I was feeling. And so I started to celebrate this part of myself, not try to get her to change. This is really, really key. This is everything. You've got to actually allow the contraction. I think a lot of times we forget this because we just want to feel better. But actually, that shame, that void space, it's sacred as well. And there's things to be learned there, and it has things to say to you. So it's not about instantly getting rid of it. It's actually about listening to it, but also knowing, okay, what does this part need? And how can I now embody that? So what I started to do was embody celebration, almost like it was a character. And so this works a little differently for different people. Sometimes people visualize certain things, and that really brings it out. But we find, let's say, celebration, safety, love, whatever it is you're needing in the body. and really solidify it as a concrete movement. So it becomes this repeatable dance movement. And I always have people have a really big version and a really tiny version. And I pair that with acupressure points that are designed for you. Like they make sense for that person. So I love doing it one-on-one especially. But I really am tuning into, okay, which point or few points is like really bringing this home for you. And through that movement of really being with the points and being with this movement of celebration or love or whatever it is, you start to shift, and it almost like makes space for the bad feeling to come forward more, which is great because it just you get to go through it. It's like you're creating a bubble almost where you get to go through that more easily. And when you're really in the depths of something, you can repeat your movement like every 5 minutes throughout the day. It can literally be like this simple. And it just, it works. Like the most drastic shifts start to happen. A new state of being will just start to sneak up on you. And it doesn't have to just be for the healing aspect. It's also, on the manifestation side of things, tuning into the version of you that already has this, that already is, because anything you want in your 3D reality, like money, for example, is also connected to something along the lines of safety, belonging, or worthiness. And so if you can find out, who am I when I am safe, when I am held, when I am worthy, when I belong, what is that expression in my body? You assign a movement to that, especially when you're in a very like suggestible state, if that helps as well. And give that to yourself. And you'd be amazed. You do that before getting on sales calls or just throughout your life. It's like suddenly that's how I went from nervous to sell a $20 session, like a $20 workshop. I'm freaking out. I can barely sell it, to then being on sales calls, selling $24,000 offers. Literally yesterday, I just sold a $24,000 offer, and it was just amazing, to the absolute dream client. And I'm like, this wouldn't have been possible for the version of me that was bogged down by shame and like apologizing for existing.
100%. Oh my gosh. Congratulations. That's freaking incredible. And I think celebration is such a big piece of this, like being able to feel that within your body. And are there any little practices that someone can start to incorporate if they're not using your Body Recode method in their day-to-day experience, where they can feel more of that celebration, maybe even in the little mundane moments, and not just, for example, signing a $20,000 client, but just celebrating those small wins, experiences, so that they can start normalizing that within their body?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially for celebration, I would say a fun way to do this too would be to pick a song that gets you really in the celebratory vibe. You're like, okay, that's the vibe. Come up with a little dance move, make it kind of silly. And throughout the day, even in tiny little moments, you could even do like a little mini version of it when other people are around, and make it a game for yourself. That's one way I really like to do this. Um, yeah, I mean, and if you're ever looking for an acupressure point that's like across the board really good, two of my favorites are the third eye, which everybody knows where that is, and, just really being there with that to kind of center you, to bring you into your vision of like, okay, I'm good, I'm here, yes. And then the other one being the divot right in the center of your chin is one of my favorite points, as it reminds us of our essences, our gifts, everything we have to offer, and our ability to speak it out into the world.
Oh my gosh, this has been so beautiful. This is a really cool conversation, truly. Thank you for bringing more of your wisdom and your beautiful method, and giving some more of those practical insights for the women listening. I have just a couple more questions to wrap up this episode. I'm curious as well, how does psychic guidance and intuition really play a role in making business decisions, especially when logic and strategy are saying one thing? I think we've all experienced this, but then your body is saying something different and possibly the opposite of what logic and strategy is saying?
I love this question because, yes, we are all intuitive and we're all psychic. I can teach you how to be psychic. I'm like, I need to make a course on this because every time a friend asks me, well, I'm not psychic like you, I'm always just like, here's how I did it. And they're like, mind blown. I'm like, yeah, you can do it. But anyway, all of that aside, it's like, yes, I think pretty much everyone listening has at least had some experience of their intuition of like, this is what it feels like to know that this is what I need to do. But then it feels like it's against the logic or, whatever else is coming up. Honestly, a couple of things I would say. First of all, to like never shame spiral, or, if you do, just realize that that's okay and you don't have to shame spiral about the shame spiral. Wherever you're at is fine. Meet yourself halfway. Like it doesn't have to be all the way one thing or the other. A lot of times when I make decisions, I remind myself of the reality that in a very ultimate sense, my soul is okay. Like I am okay. Because when we start that chatter back and forth of like, well, what about this or what about that? But my intuition's saying this, a lot of times it's because there's this underlying fear that if we choose quote unquote wrong, like if we get it wrong, then we're not going to be okay. And that's actually not true. You will be in a very ultimate sense, and maybe things won't go the way you wanted or expected or the way your mind wants them to go, but that can't be guaranteed even if you choose quote unquote correct every time, right? So then it comes back to, well, what do I want to do next? And sometimes that's a mix, sometimes you're lit up and you're excited, but the logic comes in and says, I'm not ready for all that. And there's no need to like throw yourself into total dysregulation. Baby steps, play with it, have fun with it, flirt with life, let it be what it is, meet yourself where you're at. And also, I'm a big proponent of mentorship, of course, because when you have somebody else there who isn't just like shoving their own agenda on you, but is actually like there to listen to you and make space for you, that brings a lot of clarity of like helping. You don't have to always regulate on your own or always figure out everything on your own. Having some of that support and that guidance can allow you to say, okay, yes, this is what I need to do next.
So good, because I just know, myself included and the women listening, we've gone through lots of moments in life where we have like these two parts of ourselves pulling, and the thing we really want to do that our body's leaning into is also the most illogical thing to do. And everyone else is like, what on earth are you doing? This is crazy. Why are you taking the risk? Why are you doing this? And I think it's really important to tune into our body and what it is that we actually desire that's right for us, because oftentimes it is going to be completely crazy and illogical to everybody else involved. So being able to distinguish between, okay, this is logic, this is strategy, and sometimes we do need that, absolutely, to stay grounded. However, intuition, I think, is the guiding force and is the thing that when you lean into it will actually create the most abundant, fulfilling life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm constantly doing crazy things.
Exactly. I know everyone that I know that's very successful, very happy, genuinely happy, and just their entire life is abundant in so many ways, have followed their intuition even when it was illogical to everyone outside of them.
Absolutely.
So, oh my gosh.
Not caring what other people think. Yeah,
Yes.
sometimes the logic voice might be someone else's. So be
So
aware of
true.
that.
Yes. And releasing that fear and really walking through that fear of judgment and what people are going to think and the fear of being misunderstood. Because at the end of the day, you can live your life in a way that feels really genuine and authentic to you, that lights your soul on fire. And you could do the things that your intuition is guiding you towards. And people will still judge you and perceive you in a certain way. Or you can live as a shell of yourself and not be expressed and not follow your intuition and take the safe path and do the things that make you feel like you're in a cage. And people are still going to judge you and perceive you. So which one would you rather, right? There's always going to be someone that will have something to say. So you might as well give them something to talk about.
That's definitely true. I love that.
Right? Oh my gosh. This has been so much fun. My last question that I always end every single episode with is, what is one powerful message that you want every single listener to walk away with today?
One powerful message I want every single listener to walk away with today. Yeah, I guess what's coming through is to radically trust yourself, to let your inner child come out and play, go outside today, have some fun. It's not that serious. We're all going to die.
It's so good though. I talk about inner child healing on so many of my episodes because when you learn to play more and bring more joy and fun into your life, so much around you ends up shifting when you realize, wait a minute, we're all living in a simulation, and we're playing a game. And
Mhm.
it's either we can have fun and enjoy the process, or we take everything so serious and then we're not in our full expression. So nourish
Yeah.
your inner child, have more fun. We're all going to the same place at the end of the day and
Yes,
just enjoy your life a little bit more.
absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Ona, thank you so, so much for coming on to Her Journey Home. Where can the listeners find you? Do you have any programs or offerings currently that you're really excited about?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can find me on Instagram, so I'm sure that'll be linked. And I do have my own podcast, and I also have a little mini private podcast series. It's like a 3-part episode on turning your unique gifts into high ticket offers. So if that's something that you do or that you're interested in, honestly, it's a super fun mini series regardless. I get into all kinds of things. And right now, I'm only taking private clients. So at the moment, as of recording this, I still have a few spots left. And I am doing free 45-minute psychic strategy sessions. So I'll tune into you, I'll tune into your business. We'll talk about ways to work together if it's a good fit. So if it's still open when you're listening to this, book a 45-minute psychic strategy call. It'll be fun.
Amazing. Yes, I will make sure to link every single thing in the show notes below. Definitely book in that free call with Ona and see what a magical, intuitive psychic guidance she has for you and your business. And again, thank you so much for coming on. And if you loved this conversation, please go ahead and share it with your beautiful community. Like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast. And as always, I will see you for another episode next Thursday.